Good evening and welcome to the Tri-County Water Board of Management meeting for July the 8th, 2026. We're just a couple of minutes late starting. If you can get us.
Yep, so calling the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. First item is adoption of the agenda. That Tri-County Water Board hereby adopts the agenda for July 8th, 2026 as presented.
Mayhew. Susan. That's Susan. Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move along to the adoption of the previous meeting minutes.
That Tri-County Water Board hereby adopt the minutes of March 17th, 2026 as presented.
Pemberton. Hence. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, no business arising from the minutes. Okay, and we'll move on to, seeing none, then we'll move on to staff reports. Joe, I believe that's you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the board for having me here today. Today I have the Tri-County Drinking Water System Operations Report for the first quarter. To start with compliance, the compliance summary, there were no compliance or adverse water quality issues in the first quarter. However, after running our second quarter numbers, we did experience an adverse water quality incident, or AWQI, during the month of June with regards to filter performance. So our rack filter turbidity readings on each rack are to be under 0.1 NTU 99% of the time. Due to analyzer issues, false high readings, and lower than normal run times due to the membrane replacement project, we're below this limit only 97.8% of the time for the month. During this event, a turbidity grab sample was taken during these analyzer issues, which read under the 0.1 NTU limit, proving the false reading. Our UV system was also running throughout this event, and contact time was met throughout. Results from bacteriological testing during this time period also came back clean. Corrective actions were taken to get the analyzer reading correctly, and all filter turbidity results are now back within limits and where we like to see them. All this information was provided to the health unit, who determined there's no risk to the users and no further actions were required. The 2025 MECP inspection was conducted on February 25th, 2026 for the year of 2025. There was one non-compliance due to logbook issues early in the year. This has been addressed through operator training and greater oversight of the logbooks. Despite these logbook issues, a 100% rating was received from the MECP on this inspection. There are no updates to the quality management system. No audits or reviews were completed during the first quarter. The plant operated at an efficiency rate of 95.2% during the first quarter, which is a slight improvement from 94.8% during Q4 of 2025. All raw water samples were taken during the first quarter as per regulatory requirements, and there's nothing of concern with those results. Our treated water average daily flow during the first quarter was 3,627.3 meters cubed, which is a 4.2% increase from 2025, and these numbers have the plant operating at 28.2% of its rated capacity. Rack performance, bacteriological sample results, and chlorine results were all within limits and regulations for the first quarter. The running quarterly average for THMs is 31 micrograms per liter for treated water and 40.75 at the standpipe. These have a limit of 100. HAAs is 14.85 for treated water and 20.6 at the standpipe with a limit of 80. So we're well within limits on those numbers. A couple health and safety issues experienced during the first quarter related to the workplace postings and first aid kits is listed in this report as in progress, but has since been resolved. We also had a leaking chlorine injector identified as a health risk, which has since been replaced and is no longer an issue. Some maintenance items to point out during the first quarter. We had a contractor on site to fix a faulty part on our air compressor tank to satisfy TSSA standards. High lift pump 3 and a check valve on the pump's piping was replaced through a capital project. Aramosa did some work on our SCADA system and was also on site throughout the first quarter for things related to our cybersecurity project. In March, we had a technician from Trojan out to make some minor repairs to the UV system prior to startup of the UV for the season. Alarms experienced during the first quarter, a few are listed here for high lift pressure reducing valve issues, which has since been addressed through a capital project. We also experienced a frazzle ice event during the extreme cold period, mid-January. We also experienced some communication and power issues throughout the first quarter. There were no community complaints or concerns during the first quarter. At the bottom of the report, we have generator run times, which were normal for the most part. We did experience some brownout or power outage events in January and February, totaling 3 to 3.5 hours of runtime on each month. That's it for the report, other than questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Are there any questions or comments for Joe?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the report. You're very informative. No issues with the yellow water. I didn't, the marketplace, I noticed a few comments on social media, but I didn't think it was an extensive issue at all. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair. No, we haven't experienced, to my knowledge, any yellow water events yet this year. These typically actually happen around late August. But from last year's events, I think we're more prepared for that. And I'm hoping that it's not as big of an event this year if it does happen.
That's great.
Thank you. Anything further? We'll receive the report.
The recommendation is that Tri-County Water Board hereby receive and file the Tri-County Drinking Water System Operations Report, first quarter 2026, as presented by Joe Daly, Senior Operations Manager for Ontario Clean Water Agency.
So move on.
Mayhew. Pemberton. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, I'm assuming this is our next item is probably what we have lots of guests in the building for. I wanted to open up a bit of a conversation about the role of a project manager, and that we are exploring, but no decision has been made about a municipal service corporation. But we do have to explore ways that we can grow. So because as I think the report was this evening, that we're running at 28.2% of our capacity. So we need to bring more users on. So we need to explore different options. No decision has been made on this, but is an opportunity for us to explore this. So the role of a project manager is to assess the current structure of the system, to determine if it's the best option for future governance structure, and the options for a management administration structure to better support both the immediate concerns of funding debt and the future needs of the system, with a focus on growth development. Verbal discussions to set the date to review the project manager options. But I would open the floor up to any members that would like to make comment.
Give up. Madam Chair, thanks very much. It's from a historical perspective, I've been to many meetings in my lifetime. When we close the landfill operation, we get tons of people. When we have something on drinking water, we get very, very few. And I'm delighted to see the delegation here this evening. I understand their concern. I think some of it may have been based on false information, inaccurate information. I've experienced it, my next door neighbor mentioned to me the other day, are you going to sell the water system? And I said, absolutely not. And she's a well-informed person. But I would like to just take a brief moment and present a recommendation to the board. I'd like to talk about a way of moving forward in this municipal service corporation that would both be cautious, and I use that word very intentionally, and enlightening. We have heard from the consulting community at length, and that information has been very valuable. We have had stellar performance from our staff, particularly Robin, that have educated us on the mechanics of this municipal service corporation. And that has been good. What we are missing, and I think it's a very critical step, is in order to continue evaluating our options, would it be beneficial hearing from individuals who have adopted a municipal service committee footprint? And I'm in a position that I can provide Robin with two suggested contacts to extend an invitation to speak to this committee on why they chose a different governance model and how it is functioning. And I think this would be extremely candid. You know, why did you did it? Why did you do it? What were your challenges? Have you seen any benefits from it? What was the pitfalls or the quicksand that we may encounter? And that seems to be the element that is missing. We have the academics of it, but we need the practical sense of it. And my CAO is sitting in the delegation chairs tonight. She and I have both spoke about this, and I think it would be a missed opportunity if we did not pursue just honest dialogue from people who have actually experienced this. Maple Township are a selected candidate that may provide us some information, and I'll certainly give this to Robin and the chair. Manny Barron, CAO, and Greg Davison, Mayor. There's a strong possibility that they could come and speak to us about a different governance footprint. And secondly, Union Water Supply Systems. The name's Rodney Bouchard, Executive Director, and Hilda McDonald, a former board chair and elected official. And I think what's good about this is that these people represent an elected position as well as a professional position. And I think the elected view would be very, very interesting to have. And between now and our next meeting, there may be other candidates that could be examined for a potential delegation. I think hearing directly from these organizations and their elected officials about why they selected their governance model, what has worked for them, and any lessons that they have learned from the journey of transition. I'm prepared to give Robin these two contacts, providing I get the support of the committee. I feel strongly that this is a step in our journey that is missing, and move that we extend the invitation to these two communities to speak at our next meeting. I feel it's a critical step in moving forward. And I hope I can get the board's support on this. And I'll move that, Madam Chair. And perhaps if I can get a seconder, we'll certainly have an open discussion on it.
You need to read a motion. Hamilton.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll open the floor for open discussion.
Got a seconder for it?
Yes, Pemberton, sorry.
Through the chair, thank you. I just quickly looked up the Mapleton Township, and then their water bills has gone up significantly. In fact, up to 5% in year one. I'm concerned about our constituents. I'm concerned about the water users. Like, that's a lot of, like, that's quite significant for year one. Like, how long is it going to keep going up significantly? Thank you.
Yeah, can I respond to that?
Oh,
Okay.
just, You're in the queue.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, I believe that what is missing here is also a balanced business case that identifies both the benefits and risks of all of the options on the table. We're not missing necessarily someone that's going to come in here and explain the benefits of moving towards this case, but I think we're also missing multiple options, such as continuing with an existing board, improving the existing board governance structure, shared services agreements, enhanced administrative support, municipal services corporation as one potential option, and other governance models. What we're missing here is a balanced approach.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think by motion two, I said very candid, what are the pitfalls? And probably as a mayor, one of the most numerous complaints I receive is the cost of water. I don't think there's a week goes by when someone doesn't mention that to me in a formal manner or in just a casual manner in a coffee shop. But those are questions that we have to ask Mapleton when they come. What were the reasons for that? Yes, the water bills went up 5%, but let's find out the reason why they went up 5%. They could have had a major capital expenditure that caused that impact. I think the big thing is that water systems are very complex, and at some point in the infrastructure, financing is required. You can't, there's not the reserves available to maintain this infrastructure and keep it up to date and keep it up to the standards that are levied against us to have this. And there's bad debt is credit card debt, but infrastructure debt is good debt. And in order to achieve a financial narrative going forward, that's one reason why we have to look at this municipal service corporation, because the ability to borrow money is extremely important. Yes, there's other ways we can borrow money by fracturing it among the municipality members, but that's cumbersome. And I think we have to look at servicing debt is extremely important going forward, because we're going to find that we are going to have debt. Our treatment plant is the honeymoon's over on it. You're going to get faced with more maintenance as you go forward.
Okay, Pemberton. Thank you. Alan.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Through you, I agree with what Mr. Mayhew and everybody else is saying. And again, one of his comments was we want to see the positive and negatives, and I agree. We haven't maybe seen as many of the negatives that, and maybe there isn't any, but maybe there is some. So yeah, I agree. I'd like to hear what these people have gone through it to say what is the positive? Has it worked well for you? Hasn't it worked well for you? What hasn't worked well? What's worked well outweighed what hasn't worked well? And I think the chair said it right at the beginning of the meeting. This is still just an investigation into whether we should do this or not. So this is part of that investigation. And I think we need to look into it to make sure we're offering our constituents the best possible outcome we can offer them, to say, because if we go down this road and, for example, we go to a municipal service corporation and it increases at 5%, well, yeah, that's a lot. But if we don't go down that road and we have to put the rate back to the municipalities, well, some municipalities don't have that reserve. Well, maybe the rates go up 10 or 15% because you can't borrow the money. So I think we need to look at those options. I'm not saying we need to adopt anything. I think we need to look at them feasibly and logically and see what works out best. So that's why I second the motion, and I appreciated the thought. Thank you.
I think the word cautious was in there too, and I think that's the way it should go.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, I believe that water is one of our most critical public services that we offer to our constituents. And before we consider any government changes, I think that we owe it to our fellow municipalities, our partners, and our residents to fully understand not only the benefits, but also the potential trade-offs in terms of specifically accountability, transparency, financial risk, and long-term municipal control. So if we can start with the process before we engage this project manager Can we clarify exactly what the problem is that we're trying to solve here? Is it debt reduction? Is it improved governance? Is it efficiency? Is it growth and servicing capacity? Is it regulatory compliance? I don't believe that's the case. Is it something else? If those specific problems can be identified, and once the scope is clarified, then I would ask if the project manager is going to be able to objectively evaluate all of the governance models, not just a municipal services corporation, all of the potential governance models. Or is this project manager going to be directed to pursue an MSC as the preferred outcome? I guess what I'm saying is, are we creating a problem to justify a solution? And I want to make sure that if we're engaging a project manager, that project manager is going to be explicitly written into the scope for that project manager, that it's going to be explicitly written into the scope. That project manager is going to evaluate all of the options. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I've heard this from a number of my constituents, a number of them, and they're deeply concerned, as am I. And I understand that privatization with guardrails is something that gets thrown around, and that's not necessarily the case. But this is something that's come up to me on a personal level from many of my constituents a number of times. And I feel like we're focusing exclusively on this municipal services corporation. We're not looking at anything else. And I feel like this is being driven in that direction. And I don't want to see that happen. I want to see an objective, clear evaluation of all of the potential models. Everything. And if this project manager, if we're bringing in other municipalities to talk about how this was successful in their case, great. I would love to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. But if we're bringing in just other municipalities to advocate for a municipal services corporation, then we are doing a disservice to our residents. We need to look at everything. We need to look at the entire picture, because this isn't owned by us. This is owned by our residents. It's owned by our constituents. I'm sorry, that was long-winded and passionate. I apologize for that. Move on.
Thank you for that. Councillor Tellier?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. Speaking to Councillor Seuss's costs, I agree, costs are going up. That's difficult for people, but I did my own kind of calculation there. And it's less than $4. I have a family of 4. Less than $4 per day for me to have clean, wonderful water come to my home. I believe it was like $3.21 or something. I will pay that, and I will pay more to have clean water come to my home. And I'm sure our residents will too, if they realized it and did their own little calculations. And if I don't have a fancy tea for that day, then I don't have a fancy tea for that day, but I've got clean, good water coming from our own system. On growth, to grow, we do need balance. And I agree with Mayor Mayhew that, you need to, there's good debt and bad debt. You need to look into the debt that we may need to use to get to where we need to be. 28.2% of our capacity, and it's sitting there. We need to grow. We need to look at that. And the thing we don't talk about is there's 144 municipalities in Ontario. And it's taboo, I guess, to talk about it, but we will be forced at one point to amalgamate. It's a reality. We don't want to, it's the bad thing to talk about, and in that amalgamation, we may have big changes that we don't have answers, we won't get answers, and we won't have control over. And one of them might be our water system. So residents need to also look at that as well, that right now we're just investigating, we're just looking into. There's no Chicken Little, the sky is falling, as the social media seems to think. And we're just doing our due diligence as people representing you, that were elected by you and are the voice of you, of the residents, to do exactly what we're supposed to be doing, and searching and looking for answers to do and implement the best way we can for our water system. So I just think it's really important to look at those things and think exactly what road we're going down, and support us in what we're doing, not attack us.
Thank you. Councillor Sousa, and then Mayor Hans.
Through the chair, thank you. Just $3 or $4 a day for clean water, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what you said? That's what, $90 a month? What about next year? What about the year after? Is it just gonna keep going up? Like, is it gonna be $5 a year after? Another $5? We have to keep up with the municipal service corporation? Is it gonna be, like, water is a right? Like, are you trying to take water away from people because they can't afford it? Like, my water bill is pretty high. And I'm a counselor. I'm worried about my constituents. If I'm worried about water bill, I think everybody else in the crowd is also worried about water bill. Like, it's a right. I have the right to clean water. If you're taking, and if I understand this correctly, so you're gonna if we go down the MSC route, we're gonna take it off the municipality. It's gonna be a municipal service corporation. What's going to happen? Are we gonna lose the tax base of all of our farmers that are using well waters? That means we have less money coming in. So how you're gonna make the water users pay extra because we don't have extra funding? Like there's a lot of, that's just some of the questions I have. There's so many more, and I'm concerned. I just thought I just throw that out there. I'm not trying to attack anybody. $3 a day for clean water. Yes, I understand, but that's just year 1, year 2, year 3. What is it gonna look like 10 years from now? I'm really, really worried. I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Mirans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yesterday, I attended an MPP luncheon in St. Thomas, and our very own MPP, Minister Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, I've heard him time and time again put out the option of municipal service corporations, something to look at. And it is something to look at, and we're nowhere near the concern that raising about water prices. But I've sat on this board a number of years, and we're faced with pretty expensive upgrades. And I think we've kicked the can down the road. And I can speak for Dutton Dunwich. With our infrastructure deficits and our borrowing capacity, we will not have the ability to contribute the way the existing board, we cannot borrow money alone. So it would go back to the contributions from the municipalities. We're at our debt limit. And faced with what we have in front of us with Tri-County Water Board, we need to find a way to finance them upgrades. And Minister Flack spoke explicitly about borrowing money and good debt. And this is good debt that could be amortized over decades for improvements that we know are coming. So speaking as, I think, the second largest water user in Tri-County, Dutton Dunwich, we do not have the ability to borrow any more money to help finance what's right in front of us and this board. So we need to explore municipal service corporations. And we can't say if we go with an MSC that the water rates are going to start jumping. We don't know that. But I can guarantee you if the status quo and the investments that are going to be required, their water rates are going to go up. So let's find the best way for the future and not get hung up on if we do this automatically they go up. We don't know that yet. Those are my comments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Pemberton, did you?
Yeah, just a comment to Mr. Sousa that I don't know that I totally agree that water is a right. Water is a user pay system. So the people that aren't using the water now don't pay for the water. So the farmers that are on wells don't pay for the water now. If you don't have water going to your house, you don't pay for it. So it's a user pay system. So the concern is, for me, is if we don't do something, the users that are on it now are going to have to pay for that burden. Because it's a user pay system, no different than in your sanitary system. It's a user pay system. So if you're using it, you bring it in, you pay for the amount. That's how it works. So people that aren't using it don't pay for it. So the less people that are using it, and I think that's the other aspect of this, is looking for, and I don't have the answer to this, how we get more customers. We all say we need more customers, but how do we get more customers? Because can you afford to put more water lines in? All those things cost money that get put back on the user. That is tough to do, right? So I'm not saying I'm for a municipal service corporation. I'm for looking at the advantages and disadvantages of it. But yeah, it's a user pay system, so the less users we have, the more they're going to pay. So the ability to get more users is probably our best circumstance, but in absence of that, we have to look at other options to try and keep our rates as reasonable as we can.
I believe Stratham was first. Go ahead. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and through you. I think there's some good points on both sides of this discussion, and I think that's what it is a discussion. And I think what's important is that we ensure that we are looking at all the different options out there. I guess what I'm getting at is I want to ensure that the project manager's mandate is to identify the most appropriate governance model, not to justify a municipal services corporation, but to look at other options. For example, to your point, Councillor, if we spent the money on a staff member whose sole job was to locate and secure business for our water system, perhaps that would solve some of our problems. I'd like to see the scope require a balanced analysis of multiple governance options, including the advantages, disadvantages, risks, costs, and long-term implications of each before any recommendations are made going forward. I think that is good governance. That is good governance. That's what we're here to do. It's difficult to argue against. I'm not saying that we don't end up going down the road of a municipal services corporation. Maybe that is the best option, but we have to have all of the cards on the table. We have to be able to look at everything. And if we're hiring someone to advocate for one particular case, then that is not correct. That is not what we're here to do. So, thank you.
Okay, I believe I started at the outset to explain the role of the project manager. Did you need me to go through that again?
For clarity's sake, if you wouldn't mind. Yep,
Yes,
please, thank you.
it's to assess the current structure of our system and then determine the best option or options for our future governance and the options for the management, administration, and to better support both the immediate concerns of our funding debt and future needs of our system, with a focus on growth. So I believe that is the purpose, and what you're saying is that's what you're looking for. Would I be correct?
Yes, Madam Chair. What I'm saying is I would like it to be specifically written into the project scope that we objectively evaluate all governance models.
Go ahead, Robin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Certainly, the intention or direction that this board has given was to look at the possibility of various governance models. We will make sure that the scope clarifies the direction of the board. But if I may, Madam Chair, you have a motion on the table to address hearing from other communities regarding, and your conversation is slipping into. So I don't know if you need to separate these two, because your motion right now is about inviting others to talk about. And then perhaps you need a motion about the project manager, which I am in the midst of gathering to bring to this board, and that would be to be received at a next date. But I believe you do have a motion on the table right now.
Okay, thank you for that. So our motion on the table, repeat for me.
Tri-County Water Board directs administration to contact the other municipalities who chose to move forward with the MSC to provide the full rationale.
Yes.
I would suggest an amended motion where we look at the municipalities that have chosen to move towards an MSC. We also include municipalities that have chosen not to proceed to an MSC, so we have a balanced opinion. Thank you.
We have a seconder for the amended motion. Do we have to defeat the first motion?
No, sorry, Madam Chair, you have a motion to amend, so then board will vote on the motion to amend. You'd have to ask if it's a friendly amendment by those who made so moved And then you can move ahead. If not, board will need to decide whether it wishes the amendment.
So I will ask if it's a friendly motion,
Do you,
amendment.
Mayor Mayhew, do you see that as a friendly amendment or would you like it to be voted on?
I will with a lot of I will with a lot of reservation. I don't think it's necessary because I think our questions, we have to be as board members, be very prepared for this meeting. And you know, we have to ask the hard questions. And I also think that as a courtesy to those people that we invite, that the invitation sets out the concerns we have as a water board. And that, you know, please address these items. If some members of the board are looking for a hybrid model, that may be possible. But when I look at that and when my staff have looked at it, they had some concerns that it has not worked out well. But to move this forward, I would, with the reservations, I'll amend the motion. And it puts a lot of onus on our staff to acquire these municipalities, and they have enough work to do. I'll tell you that. I think that's why we're looking for a project manager, because I think our staff are maxed, and they can't spend the time on water that perhaps needs to be spent on water. But I'll accept the amendment with reservations. Madam Chair, some of the, you know, some remarks were made in the Horseshoe regarding my address, and I feel like I haven't defended those accusations that have been made. And I would appreciate the opportunity to speak to those just for very briefly. Okay,
Yes,
I
go
think,
ahead.
yeah. Is it convenient now?
Okay, I need a seconder for Councillor Statham's amended motion. Sousa? Okay. Pardon? No. Okay. And now,
Okay. I think Councillor Sousa is being very naive about trying to keep the price of water down. I have never told a member of my constituent that, you know, I'm going to run and I'm going to try to get cheaper water prices. Water will never get cheaper. But what we can do is control the costs and the increases. The efficiency of that plant is largely in the hands of our technicians. And, you know, better filtration, better cost on chemicals, better made, you know, excel in maintenance of the equipment we've got. Try to get a few extra years out of a particular piece of equipment that was earmarked for 10 years. Maybe we can get 12 years. Those are the things that keep the cost of water down to an exorbitant figure. But, you know, I wish I could say the price of water is going to get cheaper. It's not. There's so many factors. You know, Trump wants us as a 51st state because of the amount of fresh water that Canada has. And it's going to be a very precious commodity in the future. And I think we're going to have to move towards better debt structuring in the future on this. You know, and when you talk about user pay, the gentleman beside you, Mr. Sousa, he's right. It's a user pay system. But look at the Drainage Act. The Drainage Act is a user pay system, you know, and it's worked for over 100 years since the Magna Carta. And, you know, our water has to be, you know, we're all rural municipalities in here and we all have farmers. And yes, many are hooked to the municipal system, but many are not. They are on well water and septic tank, and they do not want to pay for municipal water. But anyway, just to defend it, water's not going to get cheaper. And I think we have to be honest to the people in the gallery here that we will do the very best we can to control costs. But that doesn't mean it's going to get less expensive.
Councillor Sousa, thank you. Mayor Menke.
Through the chair. Thank you for that. I'm gonna go back when I say people that don't use water, so they're still paying their taxes. I'm more worried about borrowing capacity. I know West Elgin, we have some sort of we can borrow money. If we need to go in debt, we can go in a little bit of debt. I'm wondering about this new board, this new MSC that we put together, if we go down that road. Does it have the borrowing capacity, the same level of a municipality? Because a municipality, we have everybody paying taxes. Now we're removing a huge chunk of our population and we're just putting everything onto our water users. And what's our borrowing capacities for an MSC? Is it going to be a lot less? What if the building collapsed tomorrow? Will they be able to go to a bank and borrow some money? Or they're going to say, no, you're not a municipality. We're not going to lend you the money. I just have a lot of little questions, big questions like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Hans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Seems to me that we're debating whether to bring on a project manager. And the project manager will investigate the things that you're concerned about. And I think it would be their duty to do so rather than dump this onto staff, which, as Alan said, are overworked right now. So the question before us, are we going to look at all options, including the MSC? And in order to do that, I think we have to bring on a knowledgeable professional person to facilitate that. And I think that's the question in front of the board tonight,
Okay, Mayor
not the
Hans.
decision.
Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're kind of going down that path again of the project manager, which we're going to look at the next meeting. But what's on the floor right now is,
It was the motion that was amended by Councillor Statham to look at municipalities that have and have not gone with a municipal service corporation. So I had, for the amended motion, I had Councillor Councillor Statham, seconded by Councillor Sousa. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
So I need.
okay. So, we do need a vote.
All in favor.
All in favor? That is carried.
And record all of those. Thank you, sir.
Okay, and we just start with Mayor. Pardon? We're going to record the vote. Hence? No?
No.
Sousa?
Sorry, we're doing
For the amended vote, or for the amended,
a council statement. Yes.
Pemberton?
Yes.
Schuldice, sorry.
Yes.
Column.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is carried.
Got two other.
No.
Oh. Tellier,
No.
Denning,
No.
that motion is carried.
The project manager, we're going to talk about now.
If I may, Madam Chair, one of the conversations from this was to set a meeting in order to review options for project managers for proposals for this board. So if this board would so like to bring forward project managers, we have options of which we'll be addressing the scope that was clearly identified by Councillor Statham. So I believe maybe that conversation needs to happen about if they would like to move forward with the project manager and can we set a date to review those projects, those proposals.
Okay, you've heard the question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to be clear to Robin's point. So So we've already talked about some of the things. I would like to also, when we're talking to the project manager, have some assumptions regarding growth, development, future debt, and operating efficiencies be validated in that report. To your point, Mayor Mayhew, I think we also need to think about the future. And we need to have that assessed in the report. I would also like to see a formal risk assessment completed for each governance option, including loss of municipal control, governance complexities, financial exposure, transition costs, public perception, which I think is very important, as you can see, and future reversibility if we decide that this model is not working. Robin, I can send you these. I have them written down if you need.
Okay, thank you.
I think a project manager is mandatory for the position that Tri-County Board is in right now. We have mentioned that staff have done an admirable job at assisting this board over the years, but it has gotten to the point now where I think they are maxed, as has been said, and we say that with a great deal of respect. You know, we have to increase our market share in this. At 28% capacity, we have tons of room for growth. The federal government just announced last week, Carney just announced that he has to bring fresh water to First Nations people. And I have mentioned it to this board. And quite frankly, staff have not had the opportunity or the time to chase that inquiry perhaps the way they should have. We've got Oneida, we've got Muncie, we've got Moravian Town, and you can almost drive a golf ball to the water towers that the Tri-County Water Board have. And a project manager may have the opportunity to look at that with less time restrictions than our current staff has. Because if you want quick growth, from a moral perspective, First Nations should have better water, and from a financial perspective, Southwest or Tri-County Water Board is the way to go. I mean, you can't.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Councillor Tellier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been on this water board, Tri-County Water Board, I believe since 2018, maybe 2019 in January, I'm not sure, with, I think, Mr. Hentz, you, Madam Chair, and Mr. Mayhew, but if I'm missing someone, I apologize. Long time that we've been doing this, almost 8 years. And over the years, I look at our staff and what's going on and the pressure Mr. Mayhew's already brought to point for this and the time. With that, can we talk and be transparent once again? We already had talked about this, about the cost associated with going down this road for investigation and what that looks like for the ratepayers to go ahead and investigate this.
Yes, if you'd like to go ahead, Robin.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair. Councillor Tellier, at your 2026 budget, this board did put forward funding in order to support the project manager. While I hear Councillor Statham's expansion, I would give caution that we not expand the scope too far, or else your costs will become exorbitant. I would maybe direct it first looking at what are the options of your governance structure with all the pros and cons and comments that you have given, and then looking at what a management structure under that would be for the most efficient operation. From
Perfect,
there,
yeah. I was worried that we were going to stray from that budget amount, and that was
yes,
yeah.
yes. So currently we do have 75,000 budgeted for that. I worry if you expand too far, you're looking at hundreds of thousands. So
Okay.
I would say our first step should be focused on what is your governance options and what are your management options under those structures.
Okay, wanted the clarification. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Scholz.
Thank you. We've been told that the West Elgin Water Tower will need to be replaced. I believe I'm correct on that. Who owns the tower? Is it part of the primary system or is it owned by West Elgin?
It is part of the primary system.
One last follow-up question. How much debt do we currently have?
If I might, we can certainly make sure we're bringing back a more fulsome answer to that, if I may, Madam Chair.
That'd be fine.
Currently, the board or this board does not have debt, but we are moving towards the replacement and or repair and or replacement of the standpipe, which is part of the primary system. So the users of all of our systems, West Elgin, Dutton, Dunwich, Southwest Middlesex, Newberry, are contributing towards that cost. I believe at our last budget meeting, the amount that we are collecting still will leave us in an anticipated debt position. And so over the next year, we need to decide how that debt will be paid in order to pay for the full. So we don't have enough in our reserves, nor have we planned for enough in our reserves for that replacement cost. So that will be the first hurdle we will need to have of current financing of debt. I believed at that budget meeting, we talked about whether one municipality would take that on and then charge interest back to the other municipalities, or we would, it would have to be or each municipality would have to proportionately contribute to that debt over and above what their users pay. So we're still in those conversations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything further? Can I make my statement? Pardon? Okay. Well, it was a good discussion. We did get off the rails a little bit, but we got ourselves back around. And I mean, I've been thinking and researching a lot. And I've also been listening as we've gone around and had these discussions over time. And I believe that we all share the same concerns. How can we keep our facility sustainable without passing along exorbitant water rates to our users? It's my firm belief that if we do nothing, our rates will continue to increase at an unsustainable rate. I also believe it's incumbent upon us to explore every potential opportunity for growth while maintaining our commitment to the sustainability of our facilities. And it's important to understand that there has been no decisions made about a municipal service corporation. It's one of the things that we are exploring. It's one of the paths forward that is potential. However, if this is not an avenue that we deem is the best course for our users and for us for our users and our municipalities, then it is incumbent upon us to explore an option, because what we're doing right now is not sustainable. It's been mentioned or alluded to a number of times that we can no longer be requesting our CAOs to have this as a side desk job. It's too important and it's too much. We're looking for growth, and we're not going to be able to find it when somebody has a full-time job and is keeping this on the side of their, so we do have to find something to move forward and address this. And I just wanted to personally say that I welcomed all the ideas that the board members brought forward. It was a good discussion. I want everyone to keep an open mind as we move forward through this process. Nothing is set in stone. We just really need to look at all the options and figure out what is best for us going forward. I ask the questions you need to ask to get the clarification you need, and then at the decision stage, weigh your final decisions with the care and commitment that you've had for this water board as we've moved through this process. So those are my comments, and I appreciate your attention.
So with that, Madam Chair, we're in the process of looking for or gathering proposals, which we would like to be able to bring forward to this board. What we'll be needing to do is to set a special meeting for the board to review. I guess with the new request to also hear from other systems, would the board like to do those in tandem? I would suggest we set up several meetings in order to do that, because waiting until the next we quarterly, waiting until the next planned meeting may delay any sort of process. So would you like us to work with you, Madam Chair, to set those meetings?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you. Mr. Straighten.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wondered if maybe it'd be wise to delay the process until after the election in October.
I do have some concerns about continuing to kick it down the road because we've kicked it down the road for quite some time. I don't believe that we're going to be at a decision-making stage, but we'll certainly have a lot of the groundwork set before the election. And it will be set in place so that the people coming in and the board may look entirely different at when the decisions are being made. But I don't think kicking investigation down the road is probably in our best interest. That's my personal opinion. If anyone else would like to comment. Mr. Mayhew?
I feel like we're leaving a job that has not been completed. And I think it would be in the new council's best of all the municipalities' best interest if we can share the educational knowledge we've experienced, the market's reaction to it, the providers' reaction to it. They are not going to go through the same consultant approach that we did. That would be a waste of municipal money. But we can give them a wealth of information. This is going to be, the transition process is an extremely long process. It will take several years for this to really come to fruition if the future board decide to go with it. But I think there's merit in acquiring the proper information. And it was not mentioned in the discussions, but a knowledge-based board I think is extremely important too, that we have to have. I have no expertise on water systems. And I sit here and I feel sometimes like I'm out of my league on discussions with Aqua. And I think that this will no doubt come to the attention of the Tri-County Board through the invitation of these people that are going to speak with it. That's one of the questions I'm going to ask. Was there an interest from knowledge-based individuals on that? Not criticizing the board's decisions of the past. It has been excellent, but I think going into the future that we are going to have knowledge-based people. That's one of the questions I think we should ask. And I think I don't want to shove this under the rug and leave it to someone else. I'd like to bring some closure to us.
Councillor Sousa.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm a firm believer of pushing it down the road. I think the next term of council should come in. They should decide what to do, live with the consequences. They have 4 years, and then they can go from there. I'm hoping it's an elected council members, and they can voice people's concern. And I'm a firm believer in democracy, and I really, really think that we're in election period right now, and half of us probably won't be here to live with the consequences of the decision we're making today. I really think this decision should be for next council. Thank you.
I just want to be clear. I think that we should go through the information gathering process. And I think proceeding with finding information out about this, I think is important. That doesn't have to wait. Let's do it now. As long as we have a balanced, approach to the information that we're gathering, and, you know, it's objective, that I think is fine. I just don't want to see, you know, necessarily decisions being made about the direction that we're going with respect to governance model. So maybe I was a little bit off on that one, but
Okay, appreciate that.
thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think this should be a forum for campaigning. I think that we should, you know, get, all the information we can. And, you know, a project manager can articulate that, information, into a strong report and future councils, that will be a very beneficial tool to them. I think that, you know, when I look at the amount of work and the discussion that has materialized over the course of the last 8 years on this board, I think it's a subject that's been perhaps talked about too much, and we need some positive direction, pros and cons. And I tell you, I have some skepticisms about this too. And I've mentioned it to my CAO. Is there a way we can have a hybrid organization like that of some type? But as I said earlier, you know, in our fact-finding missions, in order to service the future debt of this organization, I think we're going to have to seriously consider the Municipal Service Corporation, and we should know what the pitfalls are so we can avoid them with management scrutiny.
Thank you for that. And I just want to remind the members of the board that as we sit on this board, we are to be acting in the best interest of the board, and we need to take off that, you don't ever completely take it off, but we also need to take off those counselor hats. Because as board members, our first decisions are here at the board level, to support our users. Go ahead.
Through the chair, thank you for that. I'm not trying to be difficult here. I respect what you're saying. I do respect what you're saying, and information is great. I'm not against gathering more information, learning more, trying to find out the best course of action. I'm not against that. Just putting that out there. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any more questions or comments? Okay, I will work with staff for those future meetings. And we'll send a poll out to everyone. And I guess I'm looking for a motion for adjournment. Pemberton, Hence, all in favor? Thank you.